Hey guys, it's me, Epic C101, and today we're finally going to be continuing my DCEU rewrite. This is part, I think maybe 5 or, I don't know, this is going to be the 4th movie, so it's part 5, because my last video was actually a 2-parter, BVS, split that into 2 parts. I said that this one was going to be Suicide Squad, but I was like, no. I'm not going to do Suicide Squad because I have something better. Instead of Suicide Squad, at the same, release time, maybe we can push it forward by, like, a month or 2. It's going to be, now this is the best one. I mean, you've already seen the title and everything. It's going to be Ben Affleck's Batman movie. And, yeah, I was thinking of names. What could this movie be called? It can't just be Batman because, you see, in this universe or whatever, I still want the Matt Reeves Batman to exist. So it's not going to be the Batman. It's not just going to be Batman, because that's going to be boring. So I've figured out the best name for this movie. It's going to be Batman Knights of Vengeance. And it's just so cool, and I've been thinking of this, and I was like, alright, yeah. This is what's going to be here, because first, we need the character development for Batman. I mean, having him only in for, like, an antagonistic role in BVS, that's not really it. We need a Batman movie. I mean, in BVS, he was like an antagonist, but then turns protagonist, and deuteragonist, whatever. We need a Batman movie. We need to further his character, because that's the main problem I've had with this, Justice League run, the DCEU. You've only, like, developed 2 characters. The others were either side characters or completely non-existent before Justice League. So, yeah. Without further ado, let's get right in. This is Batman Knights of Vengeance. So the movie starts out with a mugging. I don't know who's being mugged or something. I'm just gonna make this up as we go along. So there's this big robbery. Somebody's stealing something. And there's like these few goons or whatever, and they're like doing all these crimes or whatever, mugging people, all this bad stuff, when Batman arrives and takes them all out. I want this fight scene to be, very, like, cool and stuff. Like, just purely to show how purely unbeatable this version of Batman is, because even though the others were pretty good, and also, like, Robert Pattinson's was pretty good, I truly believe that Ben Affleck is the most powerful Batman, like, purely skill-wise, everything-wise. He's the strongest Batman. He can defeat all of them at the same time in a fight. So he's the biggest badass out of the Batmans, and we need to illustrate that with this, awesome fight. He takes them all out, no diff, and, has that cool scene, and you can have, like, one of them being tied up, and he's like, oh, who's this? What just happened? And he just shows up, he's like, oh, and there's that, it could be like, somebody doesn't know. I think this would be cool. Like, one of the criminals is, like, new to Gotham. And so he's only heard things about, the Batman or whatever. And he just, like, oh, what are you? And he's like, Batman. Well, like, that would just be sick. And that's the first scene. Moving on. After the first scene, I think the movie should just kind of, like, slow down a bit. Because, Bruce is a bit psychologically, fucked up. I mean, first, all of his, like, 25 years of being Batman have really just, like, messed up his psyche. And because, in this timeline, Jason Todd died. And that's going to be, like, a big thing, like, his grief and him. And he's really going to have this mental struggle of him almost taking a life. Because in this version, he's not going to go run around fucking machine gun Ramboing everybody, killing people. That's not Batman. So he's just going to be, like, so upset, just so messed up that he almost took Clark Kent's life. And now it's because of him that Clark Kent is dead. If he just thought with his mind, instead of just listening to, like, everything could have been better. But he's like just so effed up, like, mentally. He's like, oh my god, and stuff. So just a few scenes just showing his, psychology and stuff. You have Alfred there, and he's gonna be like his emotional support, because it's Alfred, he's this guy in the chair, emotional support. He's like, it could have been a lot worse. You could have actually taken his life, but you didn't. So that's kind of really what matters. So Bruce is a bit, mentally, all this stuff. And we can also have a few scenes in Wayne Tower. So we have just Wayne Enterprises in general, just to get a feel of how, the company works. Because the company is actually going to be a really important part of the movie going further. Then we see a GCPD crime scene. They're in this house, there's all the police tape and everything. And then Jim Gordon is there, of course, still played by our boy J.K. Simmons. And he's just, like, looking at, the dead body. And then Batman arrives. He's, like, from the shadows. He's like, what happened? And, like, Gordon's, like, a bit, like, Yeah, it's just you. But at this point, he's just gotten used to it. I mean, after 25 years, Batman's like, oh, what happened? And he's like, yeah, it's another one. This guy who's been running around killing these people for some name reason, some admiraltic names, you can mix up the names or whatever. Yeah, he's struck in again. This bad. And he's like, you sure that's the same guy? He's like, yeah, it's a sword. Because the guy's been using his sword. He's been cutting up people with his sword. And so they do some detectiving, and Gordon actually finds that the cameras in the building actually took a few pictures of who that is. Bruce sees the pictures, and it is Deathstroke. But Bruce doesn't immediately know who Deathstroke is. So yeah, he goes back to the Batcave. He's like, alright, analyzing this. Turns out it's this international mercenary called Deathstroke. He's this amazingly skilled master martial artist assassin who's been active for the past few years, going around the world being a hired gun and mercenary. And in some areas of the world, Deathstroke even has a nickname called the Terminator, because he just kills everyone. He's this big badass, And so yeah, Deathstroke is a pretty bad person, but there's something strange. This time, he's not just targeting people for money. And Alfred even brings this up. He's like, oh, he's probably just doing this for money. Like, no, like, these names are kind of strange. Targeting random civilians who don't really have any, like, affiliations with any, like, crime stuff or whatever. Yeah, that's kind of weird. And also just the feeling of it. He's like, okay, yeah, you can see that. That is personal. That is the same face that I had when I was running around trying to kill Superman. And yeah, he's just looking at it, and what could it be? And so he's deciphering the names. And so all the names of all the, people that he's been killing over the past few months have been an anagram for one name. Bruce Wayne. Yeah. He's been targeting good old Batsy this whole time. He has this mission of, like, revenge or something. Like, Bruce has no idea what it's about. He's like, okay, this is just getting way out of hand. Okay, so I'm gonna go and finish this. And so throughout the movie, Bruce would be, tracking down leads, going through all of this. You can have him even encountering some villains, like, the Penguin. And, maybe, like, some other dude, that will prefer to be named, let's see, specific, clownish young fellow. After doing all that, detective work, Bruce ends up being lured to this warehouse. And, he's standing down on the railing, like on the bridge or whatever. There is Deathstroke. Deathstroke is standing there. And they have this interaction. And Bruce is like, who are you? He's like, I'm Vengeance. And then he just starts unloading with his gun at Batman. Bruce starts running, and, Deathstroke starts running. Also, like, bam, 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 bam. Then Deathstroke jumps down. And they have this epic fight, and they're completely equal in fighting ability. And also completely equal with, their, tacticians and stuff. Because, he lured Bruce there and stuff. They're basically equals. Now, this guy, this Deathstroke dude is OP. So they have a small fight. It's pretty brief, but yeah, it shows a lot. And they have this cool fight and whatever, and it's pretty awesome, but Deathstroke is able to get away. So the next day, Bruce is, at Wayne Enterprises, and he's, doing all this stuff with the board, and they have a lot of, financial problems. See, there are these guys who are, kind of like hindering them. I'm not gonna say just who, but we just know that it starts with a W, some rich guy, and he's just been screwing them over financially, dragging Wayne Enterprises, money and all that stuff down. That poses a huge problem for Bruce, because he can't fund both his lifestyle and his, vigilante escapades as Batman. So yeah, he's like, oh no, I don't know what to do. And there are a lot of, like, news reporters, all there waiting. See Vicky Vale and stuff. She's like, oh, Mr. Wayne, what's going on? So Bruce, goes outside. He's like, yeah, nothing. I don't want to speak about it. And up there, we see a sniper. And that sniper is Deadshot. So Deadshot is going to be in this movie. And Deadshot is, just, like, aiming his gun down at Bruce. He's like, oh, I want to kill this guy. But he's like, no, the boss said no. And he just kind of, like, aims down towards his leg, and he shoots him. Bruce is able to realize, and he's able to kind of, like, get out the way. It just grazes him. He sees that. All the police are, like, going, shooting at him. You can see that even Bruce is, like, trying to get him, like, starts running around the corner. And yeah. But Bruce immediately realizes that this has a lot of things to do with Deathstroke, and that Deathshot was probably 100% paid off by Deathstroke to try and kill him. So he starts doing a little, detective work on who Deathshot is, and it turns out it's this guy named Floyd Lawton. I'm still gonna have him be played by Will Smith, even though I'm not even sure I want that, because, I mean, the guy from the Arrowverse, the guy from Arrow, he was way better. So the Floyd Lawton, I don't know the actor's name, but the actor was great, from the Arrowverse, from Arrow, he was just such a good actor. I mean, the character overall was just better than his DCEU version, but whatever. And so, yeah, he tracks down Deathshot, and you can have them have a bit of a fight, and it's not even a fight. Like, Deathshot just tries to, punch him. Bruce, no, bam, bam, just, kind of, knocks him out, brings him to jail. He's like, who sent you? I don't know, some crazy ninja guy named Deathstroke. He sent me, and he told me, these stuff. Yeah, this guy, he just told me to hurt Bruce Wayne. He didn't tell me to kill him, he just told me to, make him feel pain. Bruce then realizes, he's like, oh, okay, so he's been sending people, to make my life hell. And he's like, yeah, Deathstroke, yeah, he's my priority. And we, truly see, during the times when he's not Batman and not running around beating the shit out of criminals, that Bruce is just really getting psychologically fucked up after the death of Jason and all that stuff. He's just completely psychologically torn apart, but he's getting better. Even during his time as Batman, while he's running around, doing his Batman stuff, he stopped, being completely crazy, cracking limbs, breaking arms, all that stuff that he was doing in BVS. He's repairing himself psychologically. And, yeah. The stuff is actually kind of going on the rise, but he still feels really bad for what happened to Superman and how he almost took a life. Because he swore an oath to never take a life after something bad happened. And he's just like, I will never take a life. He got so close. And that should have been, fucking him around all movie. So the other thing that's going on in this movie that's kind of pretty big is Penguin started smuggling kryptonite from Gotham City to Bloodhaven. He's been collecting it from Metropolis, from, all the places, and even from Gotham City, from some of the, safe holds, stealing all the kryptonite and then transporting it, smuggling it to Bloodhaven, where he can, sell it onwards, because, in Gotham City, you can't sell anything illegally, smuggle anything illegally, because Batman's there, but he smuggles it to, Bloodhaven so that he can continue his stuff in Bloodhaven. Bruce is tracking that down because he really does feel a sense of guilt for what happened to Clark, and he really does feel like it's his fault. So, all the kryptonite stuff, he's like, okay, this is my mission, I have to go take care of this. So he's, following up some leads, and he ends up stumbling on this warehouse on the docks, and he comes there, he takes all these bad guys out, he's fighting all of them, but there are a lot of these guys, Penguin is rich, he's just getting all of these guys to, fight Batman, when BAM! Nightwing arrives to help out. Bruce and Dick take out all of the enemies, and Bruce's like, wait, Dick, what are you doing here? And Dick is like, yeah, I just came here to help out, there's this stuff being run in Bloodhaven, and you see, Penguin is smuggling it to Bloodhaven and stuff, and so I've been tracking down my own leads, and, I ended up coming here. And so, yeah, they have this big sentimental reuniting moment, and that's where we first see Nightwing in the DCEU. I'm not 100% sure who I want to play Nightwing in the DCEU. I would either want it to be Dylan O'Brien, the guy from Maze Runner. He's a really good actor. Or I would like it to be Brendan Thwaites. He's the guy who played him in Titans. Brendan Thwaites has a lot of experience playing Nightwing, and he's really good. I'm gonna be sticking with Brendan Thwaites. Dick catch up, and what's been going on, Dick is now a police officer in Bloodhaven, and Bruce is, doing all this stuff. They have a small talk. He's like, yeah, I know about what happened to Jason and stuff, and yeah, they have a bit of a talk about that. And Dick's like, come on, you need to move on. There needs to be another Robin. He's like, the Robin legacy can't stop at Jason. Gotta continue, and Bruce is like, oh, hell no. I'm not repeating that mistake twice. I mean, first you were Robin, and then you left, and then now this. I ain't gonna do another Jason Todd. And Dick is like, well, you can still find another Robin. Just because you've had failures in the past doesn't mean the new one has to be a failure or whatever. And so yeah, they talk about that, and they also talk about some stuff. And it turns out that Deathstroke was also operating in Bloodhaven for a short time. But, Dick was never able to capture him. What was he doing in Bloodhaven? He was paid off, and he was doing some mercenary business, but Dick was never able to defeat him. And now he's on his, revenge mission in Gotham. So Dick leaves to, continue his stuff in Bloodhaven, and Bruce is still, chasing down Deathstroke, because Yeah, Deathstroke is now pulling out all the things. He's like leaving messages for him, like, vengeance, this is my revenge mission, or whatever. We can even add a few scenes of like Deathstroke's fight scenes, just really fleshing out him as a villain, because that would be awesome. And we need to have like this badass like fight scene, just like the one in Arrow Season 6, just him just plowing through everyone. We need to show Deathstroke as an effective villain, and also just, expand on him as a character. And Bruce is tracking him down, so he's just going around tracking him, this and that. Alfred's also like helping him. He's this guy in the chair and whatever, and he ends up tracking him down to this place, to this kind of like house, and bam, he gets attacked by Deathstroke. They have this small fight, but Bruce, snuck in cameras through there, and they have a short fight, and the fight ends when they both go tumbling out the window. Deathstroke tries to escape, but Bruce, gets his, bat claw on him. He shoots his bat claw and it ties him up. But he just takes his sword. Deathstroke just takes his sword and just cuts it off. Just continues tumbling and just ends up escaping. Then Bruce goes over the recorded footage and he's like, yeah, this guy's been trained by the League of Assassins. Plus, he was able to cut my, bat claw with the sword. That takes a lot of skill and practice. Yeah, this guy was trained by the League of Assassins. I need to go have a chat with Ra's al Ghul. Turns out Bruce was also trained by the League of Assassins, and he went there after turning 18. And he trained with the League of Assassins for 6 years. And only after that did he, return back to Gotham and, start crusading as Batman. So he goes over to Nanda Parbat to, find Ra's al Ghul and talk to him when, on the doorsteps, there are the League of Assassins members, and he's like, oh, who goes there? He's like, oh, Bruce Wayne, I'm a former student. Oh, former student, that means enemy. And then, bam, they start attacking him, just takes all those guys out, just beats them up and stuff. And yeah, kind of like the scene in Arrow, Arrow Season 5, And it's going to be the same thing here, but Bruce is trying to find Ra's al Ghul instead of, And then you just, from the distance, just from the shadows, you hear Ra's yell, yield! And then all of his students just freeze. Stand like this, and he just, dismisses them, just like this, and just go, and then he comes out of the shadows. Now, I am not 100% sure who I want to play Ra's al Ghul. I would really like for Liam Neeson to reprise his role. That I think would be sick. And that's probably the only, one I have, off the top of my head. Bruce was like, Ra's, do you know about this guy, Deathstroke trained here about maybe a few years back? Yeah, complete badass, all this stuff. And Ra's like, yeah, there was a white guy full of vengeance here, maybe, I don't know, 20 years ago or something. And because at this point, Deathstroke has been active for 15 years. He's like, yeah, 20 years ago, there was this guy. 24 years ago, there's this guy came here all angry, full of vengeance. This war commander. He never told us his name, but he became one of my best students. Only you were better than him, because Ra's really respects Bruce because Bruce was his best student, and Deathstroke is his second best student. But Bruce still doesn't know who Deathstroke is. He just hears army commander, and he's all right. Oh yeah, thanks, and whatever. And then Bruce, goes back and starts investigating. Who is this army commander? A bit older, Ra's said, and he starts digging and digging and digging. He finds out who it is. It is Slade Wilson. Yeah, I mean, we all know that Slade Wilson is Deathstroke, but for Bruce, this is a new thing, because Slade Wilson is the guy who's trying to buy his company, trying to destroy his company, from the inside. He's like, hold on a minute, that's the guy trying to destroy my company, my financials. He's like, wait, this is really bad. And Slade Wilson, but the name is just the last name. He had a son, and just Bruce realizes, wait, Slade Wilson. Just types in Slade Wilson's son. Bam. Slade Wilson had a son. Just Bruce just completely freezes up. Yeah. Bruce's face is filled with fear and shock at the same time. Emotions that Bruce has probably not felt since probably ever. Just pure blank face. Slade Wilson's son, Deathstroke's son, was a kid named Joe Wilson. And Bruce he knows that name. He knows exactly what happened. He killed Joe Wilson. And we have a flashback. So what happened? Now this flashback takes place during Batman's early years. So when he first started out, we can have a bit of a golden age reference, like his bat ears are a bit weird, just kind of like falling apart, like the old golden age Batman. And instead of having this awesome armor too, he had armor, but it was like armor, and then over the armor he had like a compression shirt that was gray and had like the bat symbol. So this was like kind of like the bat suit prototype. Still had a mask, but the mask looked weird and stuff. And we can even say that he had the classic purple gloves. And when Batman first arrived, when he became the Batman and did all that, he was basically Golden Age Batman. He had no problem with killing. He was just running around, killing wherever he found, just beating everyone to death, snapping necks. And this happened. So he was tracking down some leads on this villain, and so we can say it was like Black Mask or something like whatever, some Batman villain. And yeah, let's say Black Mask, because he's a pretty cool villain. And he busts into this like warehouse or whatever, and he started taking out everyone there. And this is the scene where we can truly just see Batman going unhinged. I don't know how we could do the effects of pulling, Ben Affleck looking like 20 years younger. Because this one, he should be like, this is like early Batman, so maybe like year 2, year 3. So this is like 23 years before, 23, 24 years before, present day. So they can either do some like de-aging or have an actor that looks like Bale, or have an actor that looks like Affleck, or both, kind of like combine the two, like whatever, just make him look young. And he just comes in there, just takes everybody out. He's snapping necks with his fists. He's doing all this bad stuff. He takes the pistol from one of them, full on Rambo, John Wick action hero, taking them all out. Takes them all out, thwarts the whatever bad thing that Black Mask was trying to do. Black Mask ends up getting away. And one of those guys survived. One of the goons survives. Tries to pull a gun on Batman, but Batman's like, bam. He takes a batarang, because the batarang is, the close thing he has, and he just stabs him. And there's just the kid. That's a kid. He's like 15 years old. He's young. He just like starts choking. He just starts falling, and he just dies. He's like... And Batman, after he stabbed him, he kept, beating on him. And he's just, like, dying, all the blood is coming out, and he's like, oh, blah. And then that's when Bruce realized, he was like, oh, no, I have become what my father didn't want me to become. I've become something worse. I've become Joe Chill. I just did exactly what Joe Chill did. Only instead of killing the parents, he killed the son. He just, takes the mask off. And so you can see that that's, like, combined with the thing. He just takes it off, just falls back, just pure blank face. So just pure regret. And just then the GCPD, starts busting. You have young Gordon trying to take Batman down. Get on the ground. And so Batman escaped, of course. And then you see him just sitting down, just contemplating, oh my god, all my life choices, all the stuff in the back of it. And Alfred's like, okay, yeah, you did something bad, but... you can always rise yourself up from the ashes. And he's like, yeah, Alfred, from now on, I'm going to take an oath. I will never kill a single person ever again. He's like, no more death. That is the one rule that can never be broken. And yeah, then, calls up Gordon to, meet him on the rooftop. Gordon's like, I'm going to arrest you. He's like, no, I'm going to do things differently. No more death. I'm going to be something more. I'm going to be something bigger than I was. I cannot be the bad thing that I was. I can't be this vigilante. I have to be something more. In order to truly save the city, I can't be this vigilante serial killer running around killing everybody. I have to become the Batman. And that's how Bruce developed his one rule. Not because of his parents dying. That's what sent him into the path of vengeance. But because of that happening, because of Joe Wilson dying, because of him killing Joe Wilson, that's what made him to decide to be better, to be the Batman. And yeah, back in present time, Bruce just completely just raised down. He's just like, oh no. He's just completely just blank with shock, because he knows Slade Wilson is the father of Joe. And Bruce's biggest mistake, the one thing that he can never take back, even what happened with Clark, he didn't give in to the hate. But this time, he's just completely just in shock. He knows that he's to blame for what happened to Joe, and yeah, he's just completely, just messed up. But the next day, there is a press conference in Wayne Tower. And guess who's going to show up? Slade Wilson is going to show up because he's, kind of been deconstructing Wayne Enterprise, but this time turns out that it's not working. That Bruce has like a counterattack, and he's able to kind of like beat him so that he doesn't destroy Wayne, and Bruce is able to like start getting his finances back. And so yeah, and then after the beating, he's like, okay, Mr. Wilson, come here a minute. And I mean, we've already seen that Slade Wilson already knows that Bruce Wayne is Batman, because throughout the movie he's been like making stuff like Bruce Wayne attacking Bruce Wayne, doing all this stuff. And he knows Bruce Wayne is Batman because he's figured it out. And so he's like, all right, yeah, Slade, yeah, you're coming with me. Bam, bam, bam. They have like a little fight, but they're both like in suits. Like it's the middle of the day. They're not gonna actually fight. So it ends with like them both locking each other's arms in. He's like, all right, yeah, are we really gonna do this now? Yeah, no, we're not gonna do this now. And yeah, and he's like, why are you doing this? I know what happened to your son. He's like, yeah, you're gonna see that. I'm going to make your life hell, and after I've made it hell, I'm going to get my revenge, and I'm gonna kill you. But first, I'm gonna drive you insane. Like he's just on purely a path of vengeance. Yeah, that's what Slade exits the room, and yeah, cut to nighttime. Bruce is in his awesome mansion, just chilling. He's just like thinking, okay, how do I beat Deathstroke? He has all my skill set and all my reason for vengeance. When bang, he just gets attacked by these guys in like these uniforms, and they just all attack him. Now he's just Bruce Wayne, so he's not fully Batmaned up, so he can't just like take them out. First, he doesn't have all the armor and stuff. He doesn't have all the gadgets. He just has his skill, but still, he is still Batman. He's able to take them all out purely with his skill. Just and he's able to take them all out, but he just starts being dizzy and just falls completely. Turns out that while he was fighting them, Deathstroke planted something in his house. There's some like knockout gas. He just like stands over him and just kicks him in the face. Bruce wakes up to being chained in a dark room, just being beaten by Deathstroke. Deathstroke is all in his armor. He's just like beating him full force, kicking him, kneeing him, punching him. Like all of his moves, he's just taking it out on Bruce. But Bruce is still Batman, so he's still like, yeah, he gets him, but it's really nothing because he's been trained. He's Batman. So alright, yeah. And we can even have, Deathstroke have a few comments like, yeah, the last guy who I tortured like this, and he wasn't nearly as strong as you. You'll see where I go with that eventually. You'll see. Bruce is all like, yeah, and he's just like, being beaten and stuff. We're just like, saying that he's like, why are you doing this? And he's like, yeah, you know exactly why I'm doing this. I want to make your life hell, bring revenge. Yeah, but you can't. Yeah, but I made that mistake too. I gotta be better than that. Can't give in to the hate. So they have this like big like philosophical debate about that stuff because Deathstroke is giving into the vengeance while Bruce he's trying to stay away from that path. And so like, yeah, I'm just gonna make your life hell. Oh, by the way, I've kidnapped all your friends. And we can even have making comment like, the one from Bloodhaven really did put up a good fight, but he still lost. The others, I can't say any good thing. They just got their ass beaten, and that just like sets Bruce off. And just then, Slade exits the room. Bruce just like, all right, yeah, now you're gonna see this. He just breaks out of his chains, goes there, beats all the armed guards because Deathstroke has now a lot of context, and a lot of money. So he just beats them all up. He's still like all bruised and battered. He arrives there, cleans himself up, and he finds Batman's suit. He's like, yeah, I'm gonna go save my prince. He puts on the Batman suit, goes to free everyone. He frees everyone, and him and Nightwing have this epic battle where they both go double team, and they just take out all of Deathstroke's guards. Like full on. It's similar to Daredevil and the hallway fight. It's just one take of them just beating everyone up, and. Yeah, then, everyone gets freed. Nightwing's like, yeah, I'm gonna go help everyone, with this. You go take down Deathstroke. And so, Bruce goes up there to fight Slade. He goes up to the rooftop, or whatever. And then, he sees Slade. And it is on. The final battle of the movie. The climax of everything. The epic battle between Slade Wilson and Deathstroke. Just a pure monster of vengeance, a pure Terminator of vengeance versus Bruce Wayne, Batman, the symbol of hope that became something more than the vengeance. It is gonna be sick. Bam! bam, they start fighting all those awesome moves, the takedowns, the punches, the kicks, all the. It's basically like Arkham Origins, cinematic trailer. I'm gonna use that choreography, but take that choreography and up that up by 211, and it's just gonna be this epic, just awesome fight scene. They're going like from place to place and stuff, and it ends up in this like area that's like outside. I mean, the fight's already outside, like on a rooftop or whatever, but it ends up in this like enclosed area that's still outside, and they just have this fight, and just so epic, like all the cool moves and stuff. And yeah, that's just the final battle. Bam, they're fighting, they're giving it them all, but Bruce ends up getting the upper hand on Slade, beating him, and then he just starts just beating the living hell out of him, and taking his sword, using his sword to pin, and he just throws his sword like a batarang and pins him up against the wall. Slade is exhausted, beaten, bruised. He can't even move anymore. But he still is like, yeah. And Bruce is like, Slade, you can't do this. This is bad. You did this for vengeance. I also started my path from vengeance. I had a big loss, and that's what propelled me to be the man I am today, but we were both fueled by our vengeance. But I chose the right path. You chose the dark path. Slade is just there, just like crying, just reunite me with my boy, kill me, just to reunite me with my boy. Just Joe Manganiello's acting skills really need to come out, just him just crying, just bawling his eyes like, reunite me with my boy. I can't take any more of this pain in the world. Well, he was like, no, because I'm better. I'm not going to be vengeance anymore. I'm not going to be on the dark path. I almost strayed from the dark. I almost strayed from the path I was on. Referring to, of course, what happened in BVS. I almost strayed from that path, but I was able to pull myself out. I didn't give in to the darkness and the vengeance. I became something more. And then he just leaves. Like, the rain starts falling, he leaves. Old Deathstroke just starts yelling, reunite me with my boy. Bring me back to my boy. And he's just, like, crying his eyes out. And yeah, he's just all sad and stuff. Well, Bruce goes out into the night. The Batman going out into the night. And yeah, that's basically it. Deathstroke gets captured, gets revealed. Slade Wilson is Deathstroke, the international mercenary causing all these problems in Gotham, has finally been caught by the Batman. And at the same time, Bruce's finances are all back to normal. They're better than they've ever been. Bruce has actually been starting, renovating his old Wayne Manor and stuff. And Bruce is way better. And you haven't seen without. He's like, yeah, when I almost killed Superman, I almost gave into that darkness, but I didn't. And Alfred's like, yeah, I mean, you didn't. Yes, you almost did it. You almost became him, but there's the difference. You didn't give in while he did. It's like, yeah, you're right. And you can have him having a scene with Dick. And since Dick was just in Gotham getting beaten and captured, they have a scene. They're like, yeah, well, yeah, Bruce is now like, yeah, I almost strayed from the path. I chose the goodness within me and not the evil, like how Slade chose and stuff, how he's, better, and how he's, the Batman. And then the final scene of the movie is him, just suiting up, going out to the night. There's some cops and some criminals shooting up the place, and just he suits up as Gotham's one and only protector, the Batman. And so, yeah, that's how the movie ends. We have a post-credit scene with, like, some teases for Justice League or whatever, like some Wonder Woman cameo or whatever. But we really don't need that. This is kind of like a singular story. This is just expanding Batman. This is the Batman movie. This is not Justice League setup. Because, the next movie is going to be Wonder Woman anyway. This is a Batman movie, and we can have just a small scene of some, like, Justice League teasing. We don't need it, but we can still have it. It can be cool. And, yeah, but this movie, I just don't know what to say, because I've had this idea for the movie ever since I, read about, the original idea for the Ben Affleck movie. It was supposed to take place after Justice League, and it'll be all this stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna take that and just kind of, like, reframe it, add Nightwing to it, add selling Penguin stuff, add some stuff about Bruce's, like, vengeance, and add flashbacks, and, yeah, I truly tried to I did the best that I could with this, and Yeah, because Batman is my all-time favorite DC character. And it really does mean a lot to me. And this is what we could have gotten. This is what we should have gotten. Instead, we got Suicide Squad, and then we never even ended up getting this movie. But this movie would have been so sick. This is... I just don't know what to say anymore. That was my video. I hope you all enjoyed it. The next video, of course, is going to be my Wonder Woman rewrite. Kind of. So, yeah, that was it, and I hope you enjoyed, had a great time. Like and subscribe, of course, turn on the notification bell. Yeah, the Force will be with you always, and remember that you gotcha.